Hey, I'm Alex,
And I'm Brandon.
and welcome to Living Electric.
We're both content creators and electric vehicle enthusiasts.
And through this podcast, we hope to share our experience with owning electric vehicles and help you join the electric life. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of Living Electric. We thought it would be a fun idea to go through some Eevee trivia and answer some Eevee questions that we hear a lot, but also we see that people are asking online. So I've seen a lot of web videos where like it's answering the web's most asked questions. I think that'd be an interesting podcast episode for us.
Yep.
So basically what we did is we typed in "are EVs" and then like let Google fill in the blank, do EVs and can EVs. So those three questions, and then we're going to pick kind of the top questions there. So the first half of the episode, I'm going to be asking Brandon the web's most asked questions, and then we're going to turn the tables.
So ready for this. and you guys are going to have to bear with me, running on lack of sleep, daylight savings. It's a lot of impairments right now.
Definitely. But halfway through the episode, we'll flip the script, and Brandon has researched some Eevee questions. He's going to ask me a little bit of history he's been telling me, and some other questions that I may or may not know the answer to. So
it'll be a good time.
Yeah, we'll see how I do. So we will get right into it then. So first question, are EVs the future?
Yes. Can I just say yes to all these? I absolutely think they're the future. I mean, they're almost like the embodiment of technology and, where we're seeing innovation with transportation and mobility. And, so many manufacturers are going that route. So I would definitely say yes.
Awesome. I feel the same way.
I would hope.
Yeah. So are EVs cheaper than gas?
Yes and no. I think it all depends on how you look at it. Driving electric, yes, you will save money if you drive strictly electric. But the upfront cost of going electric could be more than getting a gas vehicle. But it all depends.
Definitely. Like a lot of things, I think a lot of these answers will be, it depends.
Yep. I feel like this is very like rapid fire.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
Are EVs more reliable?
Yes, because they have a lack of moving parts compared to combustion engines. So you have a lot less things that could go wrong.
That's right. Yeah, I've lived with my Model 3 for 2 years, 25,000 miles. I haven't done any maintenance to it, which is wild to say because I was so used to constant issues, or not issues, but just like routine maintenance with my older cars. So it's been a welcome change. Like. Let's switch to do EVs. Do EVs have transmissions?
Yes, it's a single-speed gearbox, except the Porsche Taycan has a two-speed gearbox.
Yeah. So one of the other top questions was are EVs automatic? And just from that answer alone, I guess they would be, right?
Yeah. Yes, unless you try to shift one gear, which I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, you have to break some physics to do that. So do EVs need oil changes?
No, not in the sense of a typical combustion engine where you would have to go in every, certain amount of miles or certain amount of months. EVs do have some oil-based fluid within them, but you never have to change them.
Yeah. Do EVs have catalytic converters, alternators, or engines?
Oh, man. That's a really... Wow, this is a multi-part question. I just remember in high school, like with like the story questions where you had to like answer every single one and go back to the original question.
Yeah.
Stressful times.
It's a repeat.
So to answer the first one, no, they don't have catalytic converters because they don't have exhaust pipes. So you don't have to worry about cleaning any of the emissions. They don't have alternators. I believe they have starters based on the 12-volt battery that most EVs come with.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even need a starter, really. So there's like a small, I'm guessing it's just like a DC to DC converter in there to translate the either 400 or 800 volt big battery down to the 12-volt smaller battery. So
yeah, that would make sense.
Because alternators take the engine movement and charge the battery, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't need that in EV because you're not really taking that movement of an engine because they don't have one, which kind of answers the next one. So
I feel like we should have like a you failed. Oh, that's good information. I actually didn't know that.
And so the other one was, do EVs have engines? Which I guess like engine, I think is kind of a weird term because a lot of people use motor and engine interchangeably. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you hear generally when referring to EVs?
Motors. And to be honest, it makes me cringe when I hear electric engines. Yeah, I mean, I definitely get it. The motors and the word engines, definitely go hand in hand. So I could see why people would say that, but... Yeah.
Generally, I've done a little research on this, on like what is the proper term. An engine is kind of... I think engine generally means that you're taking some sort of fuel to turn like chemical energy and changing it into mechanical energy, whereas motor is generally electrical or chemical energy and translating it into motion.
Oh, interesting.
That's at least what I've heard. Because they're essentially doing the same thing. They're taking one form of energy, which would be like oil or gas, I guess, and then burning it to create movement in the engine. But in an EV, you're kind of doing the same thing, but your fuel source is the battery then. So, I hear motor most often. I like motor. I think that sounds, it sounds right, I guess.
That's how I feel too.
Way.
Yep.
We'll switch to CAN EVs now. So can EVs tow?
Yes, and as more come to the market, more of them are incredibly capable when it comes to that aspect. We're seeing, on average, towing of over 7,500 pounds, which is pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. The only difficult part with towing is you're adding more weight to move the car around, or to move with the car, I guess. So towing does impact range a lot more on EVs than it does other cars. But if it's designed to tow, and manufacturers are taking that into account, like, I mean, Tesla's done that with their Semi that they're going to be releasing. Ford with their Lightning has said this is rated range with 1,000 pounds in the bed. So a lot of them are kind of realizing that and making their range numbers match up with you if you are towing and actually using a truck to that for that capability.
Yeah.
Can EVs be charged at home?
No. Of course, yeah, they can. I would say that's about where 80 to 90% of people charge their electric cars. Me personally, I charge my car at home, and I almost exclusively charge at home.
Mm-hmm. And what is needed to charge at home? Is it complicated, or can it be easy?
It can be easy. So pretty much what you need is a minimum of a 50 amp breaker installed to your house that's dedicated to the EV charger. And you can do any like 650 outlets or like a NEMA 1450 if you want to, get technical. Definitely recommend the NEMA 1450. It's more universal. And then you need a EVSE or a charger that, most people refer to it as.
And it doesn't even need to be that complicated because if you aren't driving a lot, you can actually just plug in on a regular wall outlet, which is an option for a lot of people.
I overcomplicated it. I did say it was. No.
Yeah. I think if you're like going all in on EVs, I think it's definitely worth it to upgrade to a higher amp outlet or higher amp circuit for actual charging versus just plugging in on a wall outlet. Because it can get the job done, and that's what I'm doing right now. But long term, I definitely wouldn't want that because if I've been driving a lot, like I just drove back from Dayton this morning, and plugging in, I'm not going to have like full range on my car for another like day and a half. So it's really slow. But if throughout the week I'm not driving a lot, it's less of a deal. So it definitely depends on your driving and what you need your car for.
Yeah, and I would definitely say I think the household outlet is very underrated. Like I think people like overlook it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that like after they buy the car and don't have charging installed yet and might even realize like, oh, this like wall outlet thing is fine for me because I only drive 30 miles a day or whatever.
Yeah. Get plenty of charge overnight.
That kind of leads into a similar question that I skipped over with the do EVs, but do EVs come with chargers?
So most of them do. They come with portable chargers. Some of the newer ones, actually, you can switch between a regular household outlet and a more powerful outlet like a Nemo 1450. For example, like the Mustang Mach-E comes capable with a charger like that. But I would probably say about 95% of vehicles, at least new vehicles, come with chargers. Yeah,
I've never heard of one not coming with the charger. Like any vehicle I've driven, usually it's in the trunk or it's hidden somewhere in the vehicle. And like Brandon was saying, most of them are adaptable, so they have like a little portion that can be unplugged, and you could plug in a different adapter and work with different outlets or charge faster than just a regular wall outlet. So that is nice.
And I'm trying to think of examples off top of my head to like support that like 95%, because like I know there are some cars that don't come with a portable charger.
Oh,
like,
really?
You have to pay extra for them.
Like consumer cars that people are selling?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll do some research and provide some feedback later. But I the sleep sleep deprivation.
Yeah. Like my car came with one. The Tesla Model 3 came with one. I'm guessing your Bolt did. ID4 did, I'm sure.
Yep.
The Mustang Mach-E I test drove had one. Yeah, basically anyone I've test driven has had one. So.
Yeah. So maybe just disregard what I said. I'll try to sleep more before the
double
next
check
episode.
if you're buying at a dealership. Double check that they didn't take it out or like are trying to charge you to add it as an option when it should be included.
Especially if you're going for a used Eevee, make sure it comes with a charger.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to check. Which I think is going to be a future episode, actually. So little teaser there. We want to talk about some things to look for in used EVs. So if you all have any questions about that, definitely let us know.
Send those voice messages.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Last one here, and then we'll flip around.
Oh man.
Can EVs charge themselves?
Ooh, yes. Yeah. A little, so yes, they can. Electric vehicles have a system called regenerative braking, and basically what that means is that it's taking the energy from the tires, or from like the movement of the tires when you take your foot off the accelerator, and essentially recharges the battery a little bit when you do that. So it's not necessarily enough to like make your car go back to 100%, but it's definitely enough to add a few miles to your drive. I mean, we've seen upwards of 20 miles sometimes, depending on like, the hills we're going down. And
you technically could charge your car to 100% if you're driving downhill for like 100 miles.
Could you imagine that mountain? Just a constant downhill slope.
So I've seen people climb like Pikes Peak or whatever, and they'll show their battery like percentage like going up the mountain because they burn a ton, and then like coming back down they like charge back up. So it's like it's not obviously completely like evens out, but you actually don't lose as much range as like you would probably think, because you're charging up on the way down.
Well, you just reminded me of a story. When I worked for Tesla, there was somebody who drove a Nissan Leaf in Hawaii up to one of the like observation areas. Used all the charge to go up there, and then as he coasted down, it brought the car back to 80%. by the time he was down the mountain.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yes, cars can charge themselves.
Yeah, but that is generally only when you're slowing down or like going downhill is when that's going to happen. If you're just driving along, all of that energy is needed to push the car along and like overcome the friction and the just static weight of the car to move it. So it's not going to charge up just like driving down the highway. You'd have to be slowing down or going down a hill or something like that.
Yep. And from personal experience, there's actually been some trips where my guessometer, like the state of charge, doesn't move at all. Like I'll go where I'm going, then back, because the regen and how efficient I was driving, it cancels out any like usage that I had going there. Back.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So those are days where I drive slow.
Trying to think if I missed any here. I'm just going back through it. So what about, are EVs more expensive to insure? That's an interesting one I get a lot from people too.
Yes, yeah. And obviously, before when we were prepping for today's episode, we were talking it's based on situations, like it's
Yeah.
going to be different for every owner. I know for us, our policy is through Progressive Insurance, and we have actually saved money by going to an electric vehicle.
Nice.
Like
Okay.
when we had combustion vehicles, it was way higher. I think it was almost like 200 like a month or something like that.
Wow.
And it dropped like significantly going electric.
Awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
I've seen both. So when I switched from my old car, it was about the same insurance rates, which I was shocked about because I was switching to a more expensive car by like 3 or 4 times more expensive. and and I thought that would make the car like more expensive to insure, but the Tesla I drive now is a lot safer than my old car because it was like a 2-door coupe, really light, like not incredibly safe, like if you got in an accident. And now like my insurance rates have stayed about the same. I've adjusted coverage too, which can save you money sometimes depending on what kind of coverages you need. So like Brandon's saying, it really depends on your specific situation, and us telling you like our insurance rates isn't necessarily going to be an indication of things. So I have noticed that like insurance takes a lot of things into account, but if like nothing else has changed and you just switch to a more expensive car, then your insurance rates might go up. But also like in my situation, it's a safer car too, so insurance rates go down. So like everything plays into it. It really depends on what car you're switching from and all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily always going to be more expensive or always going to be cheaper.
I just want to know, am I going to be graded on this?
I think you did good. I'm giving you an A, a solid A for him.
Yay. That's how I got through college.
We clearly need to educate ourselves more on the legacy auto car parts that we don't even know about anymore.
Yes.
But
Yeah, I would definitely say that's one aspect of cars in general I'm not very good with, is like the maintenance and the mechanical side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially at combustion vehicles.
Yeah. I'm only good with cars now because I drive an Eevee and like I understand all the systems a lot more than a combustion vehicle. So it's the only reason I know anything about cars.
Yeah, and I only know that because Tyler's car kept breaking down.
So I've heard that word before.
Sorry, Tyler. Well, are you ready for your questions?
Let's take a quick break, and then I'll get mentally prepared for all those questions.
Sounds good. So you ready?
I am.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. So before we begin my questions for you, Alex, I want to give a shout out to Drive Electric Minnesota, who created this trivia quiz bank for electric vehicles. So I am not too familiar with Drive Electric Minnesota, but it's pretty cool that they put this together. So shout out to them. So this is 3 pages. We don't have to go through the whole thing. Okay. First question for you. Okay. What is a time of use rate?
Time of use rate. That's like a utility thing, which I should know because I used to work at a utility. Didn't work on that side of things. I believe it's when electricity changes rates based on the time of day. So it's kind of literally what it sounds like.
Yep, exactly. Yep, a rate offered by some utilities to incentivize customer use of electricity during specific times.
There you go.
Perfect.
Which a lot of owners can take advantage of because usually rates are cheaper overnight because demand is lower. So kind of basic econ there. But if supply is high and demand is low, then prices are going to be lower. So you can save money charging overnight. So
definitely. And check with your. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I hope more utilities start offering stuff like that because it can really help kind of balance out the power usage throughout the day versus having these big swings, which I believe we kind of talked about in our Our Evs Good for the Environment podcast. So we'll link that in these show notes. But yeah, definitely a huge benefit to EVs too, because like electricity prices don't really fluctuate. They do like throughout the day, but it's not like gas where it's going to be like all right, all of a sudden it's $4 a gallon. Like you'll actually probably save money if you charge at certain times a day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, you brought it up, like check with your utility to see if they even offer it. Because I know here in Ohio, I don't think any utilities offer that. But California, they do. And some of the, West Coast states.
There's a lot of smaller like co-ops that will do it. So like if your town has a like smaller co-op electricity provider, they may have time of use rates. And we're in a weird situation here in Ohio, too, because we've got all these coal plants that like have a surplus of energy. So it's not like they have to incentivize us like using electricity at certain times a day.
Yeah, that's actually new information to me about the co-op. I didn't even think about that. Like if you're in a smaller area that has a co-op, see how that could help you save money. I didn't think about that.
Yep.
Okay, bonus points. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a plug-in hybrid and a battery electric vehicle?
Oh, give me a softball here. Okay. So plug-in hybrid is powered by both gas and electric. So you can plug it in, but generally it has a smaller battery. And when that battery runs out, the gas engine kicks in and then can power the car. So you've kind of, since it's hybrid, you've essentially got kind of two drivetrains running in parallel. You've got the electric one and the gas one, which you used to own a Volt, Chevy Bolt with a V.
With a V. If I had $1 for every time I said that.
Yeah. Plug-in hybrid. So usually you can get away with like, okay, for my commute, I just will use all electric range because I've got 30 or 40 miles. But then if I take a long trip, then I have to fill up my gas tank. But in a pure electric vehicle, you have no gas at all, so it's going to be completely battery operated. Your main fuel source or your only fuel source is the battery. So you've got to just charge that up and get where you can.
That was a good answer. I would say you got half of it right now. I'm just kidding.
But there's more.
There's more. Oh, that's good. Here's a curveball for you, since we're using baseball metaphors. What is the best-selling Eevee model in Minnesota?
Oh, in Minnesota.
I think this quiz might be old because I think this answer is outdated.
Is it the Leaf?
No.
Oh, I was thinking if it's outdated because the Leaf was like really high selling for a while. Is it the Chevy Bolt then?
Eevee Shade.
Is it the Bolt then?
Nope.
Oh man, I have no idea.
Tesla Model S.
Model S. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering what year that's from.
Yeah.
Because I think both the Nissan Leaf and Chevy Bolt have leapfrogged the Model S, but I'm not sure.
I was going to say the Model 3, probably.
Yeah, and oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a date on here, so.
All right, well.
Okay.
At one time, the Model S was the top selling EV in Minnesota. We don't know when, but it was.
Yeah, right. I think in the U.S. it was at one point. Okay, history question for you. In what year was the first car powered by an electric motor?
Let's say 1860-ish.
Oh, you're so close.
Am I?
1827.
27, really? That early? Okay.
Yeah. I don't have the specific vehicle, but yes. Yeah, you were pretty close.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And actually, I have another history question for you.
Okay.
When was the first electric car built in America, and do you know what it was?
Oh, first one built in America.
Mm-hmm.
So the first car powered by electricity was in America?
No. Actually, I think it was a Porsche.
Really? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was a Daimler or a Porsche.
Wow, okay. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the car revolution really was in America because our country's so spread out. First one built in America. I'll do 1850s for that then.
Oh, you're close.
Is it the 40s? 90s? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
I thought it would have been earlier, but interesting. Okay.
And the person who created it was William Morrison. He was a chemist in Des Moines, Iowa. And it was a 6-passenger wagon that was capable of 14 miles per hour.
Nice. Okay.
So, yeah.
About bicycle
electrified
speed.
medium. Right.
The first e-bike that can seat 6 people.
Could you imagine that? That'd be pretty cool. Okay, let me pick another question.
I think it's while you're looking for that, I think it's very interesting how people don't realize like how old EVs are, like how much of a competition there was among fuel sources, because you had like steam power was really big, electric vehicles were getting really big, and then like gas came in, and I don't know what combination of things made gas so popular. I mean, batteries certainly weren't where they needed to be to be a reliable fuel source at the time. We just didn't have the manufacturing capability. But I don't think we also like invested a lot in that either, because gas was kind of like gold at the time. So
yeah. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I know between like the 20s and like the 80s and the 90s, obviously, that's when gas really took over.
Yeah,
and kind of I think almost killed all the EV companies.
Which I hope we see the opposite this century, as we see that, okay, like EVs are back now, they're really good. Yeah. I mean, it's 2021 now, so we should be hopefully seeing the opposite. It kind of really becomes the dominant fuel source.
And while we're on the topic of EV education, if you guys want a really good documentary, Revenge of the Electric Car and Who Killed the Electric Car is fantastic. A little outdated, I would say. I'm hoping a new one comes out soon. But if you're really looking for good, solid, EV information, highly recommend it. Going back to history, we talked about some of the first electric cars. Did you know that Porsche's first car ever made was electric?
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
It's called the P1.
Did they sell them, or was it like a concept type car?
It was more like a concept.
Gotcha.
If you look it up, it almost looks like Santa's sleigh, like what you would think like Santa's sleigh looks like. It's very like ornate, like the details.
Oh yeah.
Do you see it?
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like a sled.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because they really took like the wagon essentially and converted it into a car. Yeah. That's really cool.
Open concept. No.
That's right.
Yep. Okay, this is a Tesla Motors question.
Okay.
Who founded Tesla Motors, and what year was Tesla Motors Inc. founded?
It was 2 people that founded it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were founded it's either 2002, 3, or 4. It's one of those years. Is it 2002?
3.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
Split it down the middle.
Yeah. I'm sure it was in people's heads in 2002.
Yeah. I think Martin Eberhard was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one I cannot remember.
It's Mark Tarpenning.
Tarpenning? Okay.
Yeah. That was new information for me when I was researching. Like,
really?
I knew about Martin. Yeah. But I never heard about Mark. And then what lawsuit happened to where Elon was named co-founder?
Ooh, what lawsuit happened?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I don't know. Oh, was it a naming lawsuit of some sort? Like somebody was upset about the Tesla name or something?
So it might be.
Or am I completely off base?
Yeah. There was a lot of back and forth arguing internally with who exactly founded Tesla back in the day. Obviously, we know Tesla or Elon was more of like an investor at the time. He really, invested the company. He didn't necessarily find the company, found the company. But there was a lawsuit after they ousted Martin Eberhard and to name basically Mark, there's someone named Ian Wright. I'm struggling so hard right now. Elon, and then JB Struble as co-founders in 2009. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of them, I believe, were like the original engineers of like the battery
packs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that stuff is always kind of messy because you're like, oh, who really founded the company? It's like, because there's so many ways that like a company becomes successful, and like there's lots of hands in it. So I don't know. I mean, I hope that people realize that like Elon wasn't there from day one. He came like a couple years later after the company was kind of moving. Yep. Obviously, I don't think without him they would be where they're at today, but it certainly wasn't like him alone that is created their success. So
exactly.
that's my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a team effort. I mean,
sure.
all companies, it has to be a team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let me ask you one more question. So, are you a Avengers fan? I think that's Marvel's. If anybody's listening to this, don't come after me. I'm not into those movies. So which electric vehicle was featured in Avengers Endgame?
It was the Audi e-tron GT, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because that's what Tony Stark drives.
Yep. Did you know that they hyperimposed engine sounds on top of that?
I didn't know that. Yeah, I was not happy about that. But
yeah, I was not either.
What can you do?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he always drives an Audi in like all the movies, because like in one of the first Iron Mans, I think he drove like an R8 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I drove the e-tron GT, which I still want to do a video on. I think they've got a few floating around, but I haven't even seen one in person yet. So
same. Yeah, we tried to see one. We thought that one of the dealerships in Columbus had one when we were down there. A few weeks ago, and they didn't they didn't have one.
Dang.
Yeah, we saw across Turismo, the Taycan. That was pretty nice.
Oh, really? Did it look good in person?
Yeah, it was I think it was the Mamba green, so it was that like really cool green. It was beautiful.
Is that the one you want to get, or that color at least you like?
I would love that color, but I know I would stand out too much. Yeah, that's a nice one though. I'm trying to think of any other questions to ask.
Is that all of them on there? Or some of them just like too basic, or we've touched on them already?
They're too easy. So we touched base on this briefly when you were asking me questions. According to the Department of Energy, what percentage of EV charging happens at home?
Oh, it's a lot. It's like 80 to 90%. I'm curious what they say, though.
80%.
80, okay.
Yep. Which of the following is not a kind of DC fast charging plug? J1772, CHAdeMO, CCS, or Supercharger?
J1772.
How many vehicles can a manufacturer sell before triggering the federal tax credit phase out? And I just want to preface this is that they are in the works of coming out with a new tax credit. So this answer might be outdated by the time that happens.
It's 200,000 right now, and I think we should definitely cover this in an episode once the new bill passes. So I was actually researching this today, because I saw they passed the infrastructure bill. They passed it in the House. I think Biden still has to sign it to like make it official. But there's no EV tax credit in that infrastructure bill. It's in a separate act that's been proposed by the Biden administration, the Build Back Better Act, I believe, that has all the EV tax stuff in it. But in that, they're proposing getting rid of that 200,000 vehicle cap. So I think we should definitely cover that in our next episode if that does pass, because I think it's obviously got a long way to go. It hasn't even been, or it's just been introduced in the Senate, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Which we all know how long that could take.
Yeah. We're not going to give a whole government lesson here. So it'll take a while.
We just know how it all works. Do you have any other questions for me? Like, I'm waiting for that curveball question.
I know. I'm trying to think if I got any good ones. I could give you like a history type one if you want it.
Yeah. Let's see if I know it.
What battery technology did the EV1 use?
Oh man, it was. I know it wasn't lithium ion. I'm positive it was lead acid.
It was. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. They originally used lead acid batteries, which is what most old EVs used too in the 1800s, I believe, which severely limits you because they're so heavy and like not very energy dense. So the real breakthroughs really didn't happen till we had lithium ion. So
that was a good question. I'm actually really happy I knew that. I think I learned that on Who Killed the Electric Car.
I was gonna say, they probably touched on it because they did eventually switch to some kind of lithium ion or some kind of other chemical or chemistry for the batteries. So, do you know I have a lot of like Tesla trivia I could give you.
I used to work for Tesla, so I might know this stuff.
What was the code name for the Model S?
Oh God. I don't know this.
I believe it's Blue Star.
I feel like you told me this once.
A White Star was the
Star.
Model S.
Oh, Roadster was dark. Oh, Model 3 was Blue Star.
Yeah, Model 3 was Blue Star. I wanted to answer some more on the which one is not DC fast charging, the J1772.
Yeah.
I meant to expand on it, which I guess we can spice this in there, but J1772 is only level 2, but on the CCS plug, the top portion of that is the J1772 connector. So, so it can be kind of confusing because you're like, oh, what kind of plug is that? And it's like, oh, it's CCS, but it looks like this one. So it's a little confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that question was a bit confusing because they even call like the CCS the J1772 combo.
Yeah,
and that in itself is confusing. So let's just stick to green and level 4 and higher.
That's right.
Charge way. There's my employer plug for that episode.
Which I'm actually with the plugs. I'm like, the more I'm kind of thinking about like consumer understanding and education, like it's very clear to tell like which one is a fast charger and which one isn't when you're plugging in, because you've got a clear like distinction, like, oh, this plug has these 2 extra ports on it, that means it's going to be a fast charger. So that I think helps.
Yeah. And I think the only one that might be confusing to like some new owners is like the Tesla charger, because it is very slim compared to like what you see with the CHAdeMO and a CCS.
Yep.
But if you look at the actual Tesla adapter, you can see the DC fast charging pins. Like you can see it in there. So
yeah, but
I think it's the bottom 2 pins, right?
No, it's the middle ones. That's the thing with the Tesla ones, is because they use different pins, or they use the same 2 pins for AC and DC.
Oh, I did not know that. That's something new.
Yeah. So the car will there's internal relays in the car, I think, that flip around if it's DC fast charging or AC charging. Whereas like with a true CCS plug, you're plugging in those 2 extra ports because those 2 ports go directly to your battery.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I see that now. I'm looking at a Tesla connector.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I think makes the adapters difficult to figure out for Tesla, because it's like, well, what like you've almost got to trick the charger into like looking like something else, which is a little confusing. I
think I might need to go back to Tesla Academy or something like that, because I definitely forgot that.
That is a video topic I do want to do, is like, why are adapters so hard for Tesla vehicles, and like really dig into like the pinouts on each one, like what each pin is doing, like why adapters are hard to figure out. Because that's part of the reason there's only a CHAdeMO adapter right now, is because the pinouts are easier to convert to a CHAdeMO versus the CCS or J-plug. So. Oh,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely love to watch something like that.
Yeah. Might be a little over most people's heads, but...
Yeah. Hey, it's good information to know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's all news to me. Yeah, so if you guys have any trivia questions for us, or if you have any questions that are not trivia related, let me just restart that. That was a fail. So yeah, anyways, that's really going to be it for today's episode. I definitely think we had a lot of fun answering these electric vehicle questions. Obviously, there's a lot of questions still that are left unanswered, and I'm sure anybody who is listening might have those. So if you would like to send us any trivia questions, anything that you would like to know about electric vehicles, make sure you send a voice message to our Anchor page. We'll have some more details in the notes below. As well as reach out to us on social media. We'd love to hear your questions and maybe do future trivia episodes.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So look forward to hearing from you, and we will catch you in the next episode.